week in politics, Biden visits Kyiv, GOP 2024 race shaping up, GA grand jury foreperson talks. This week saw the one-year mark since Russia invaded Ukraine, with President Joe Biden making a surprise visit in Kyiv and later stopping in Warsaw to recognize the anniversary and reiterate U.S. support for Ukraine. The anniversary comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the country would be pulling back from New START, a nuclear arms reduction treaty between the U.S. and Russia. The White House also announced that the U.S. will be imposing a sweeping set of new sanctions against Moscow. Back at home, the Republican field for the 2024 presidential race is slowly but surely heating up. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley made the rounds in Iowa, a key early voting state, after a few campaign stops in New Hampshire. Her fellow South Carolinian, Republican Senator Tim Scott, who is mulling a presidential bid of his own, also made a visit to the Hawkeye state. Biden pledges continued support for Ukraine. Biden made a surprise visit to Kyiv ahead of a scheduled trip to Warsaw to commemorate the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It was his first trip to the war-torn country since Russia launched its war, and there is little record of other U.S. presidents visiting an active war zone with no U.S. troop presence. The meeting between Biden and Zelensky was symbolic, with Ukraine intensely lobbying the U.S. and the West for additional military aid. While in Kyiv, Biden announced the U.S. would be providing an additional $500 million in weaponry for Ukraine. In Warsaw, Biden reiterated the West's continued support for Ukraine as it fends off Russia. He also made clear the U.S.'s continued commitment to bolstering the NATO alliance, calling it more unified than ever in the face of Russian aggression on Tuesday. Putin doubts whether NATO can remain unified, Biden said. But there should be no doubt, our support for Ukraine will not waver, NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire. Haley continues the rounds as GOP 2024 race takes shape. The 2024 field for the GOP nomination for president is slowly shaping up. Haley continued her campaign in the crucial early voting state of Iowa after a trip to New Hampshire, another key primary state. In Iowa, Haley made a direct appeal to GOP voters who might be considering Trump over her, telling them we've got to look forward. In Urbandale on Monday, President Trump is my friend. I think he was the right president at the right time, Haley said. He came in. He broke the things that needed to be broken, and he fixed them. And I was proud to serve in his cabinet. But as dire of a situation as this is, as much as all the media and everybody wants to talk about the past, we need to leave the status quo in the past. We've got work to do. We've got to look forward. Republican South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who is reportedly considering a presidential campaign in 2024, also made a stop in Iowa on Wednesday, delivering remarks at an event at Drake University in Des Moines and also speaking at the Republican Party of Polk County Lincoln dinner. Tester announces re-election bid, Democrats breathe a sigh of relief. In other 2024 news, Democratic Senator Jon Tester delivered good news for national Democrats on Wednesday when he announced his re-election bid for Senate in his home state of Montana. Senate Democrats are looking at a tough map for 2024. Of the 34 seats up for re-election, Democrats will be defending 23 of them. Tester, a rare Democrat representing the deep red-leaning state of Montana, will be in the crosshairs of Republicans hoping to take the Senate. In California, Democratic Representative Barbara Lee announced she will be running to replace retiring Senator Dianne Feinstein. Lee enters an intensely competitive primary with Democratic reps Katie Porter and Adam Schiff already in the mix. The seat, which lies in deep blue California, is expected to remain in Democratic hands, meaning whoever comes out on top of the Democratic primary will likely win the general election as well. Georgia grand jury foreperson goes public on a media tour. The foreperson of the Georgia grand jury investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election went public this week, making the rounds with multiple media interviews. Emily Kohrs gave provocative details about what is to come from the now concluded investigation, telling the New York Times that the grand jury recommended indictments against multiple people on various charges. It's not a short list, Kohrs told the New York Times. While declining to give details on who specifically is in that list, Kohrs said you're not going to be shocked. It's not rocket science. Although her public remarks were exceedingly unusual for any grand jury investigation, legal experts told USA Today that while her remarks had no actual legal ramifications, they might damage public trust in the investigation. After the tragic train derailment, Buttigieg travels to East Palestine. On Thursday, Ohio's East Palestine welcomed Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to inspect the devastation caused by a toxic track derailment that exposed the town's land, air, and water to dangerous chemicals. Republicans have been criticizing the White House, focusing their criticism on Buttigieg over the train incident, claiming he was too late to react to the catastrophe. At a press conference, Buttigieg expressed sorrow for delaying his arrival and explained that he was trying to balance his duties as Transportation Secretary without interfering with the NTSB's inquiry into the incident. Buttigieg disagreed with GOP politicians who supported reducing governmental rail rules, claiming that they were engaging in political games in response to the catastrophe. The White House retaliated against Republicans over the hazardous train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, blaming the incident on the Trump administration's decision to pull back safety measures put in place during the Obama administration to prevent such catastrophes. That's today's latest news. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so that this channel can continue to exist. Thank you for listening to the end, and I hope it's useful.